So Chloe Chambers, as you saw over there, choosing to put some slick tires on. Everyone's starting the session. Once they do go on the slicks, everyone's starting on a new set. That's obviously the right choice. As you can see, you're probably going to destroy your tires out there right now
Yeah.
on wet weather tires. Okay, let's get into some questions. So Caitlin, a lot of people were asking us about the setup of the car. So this question is from Wesman. Do you think W Series should do the same as Formula Regional Europe and bring in a push to pass button?
God, I think that would be really interesting. I don't know, to be honest. I haven't never really thought about it. But, you know, single seaters, it can be quite difficult to pass when you're at quite, you know, tight and technical circuits. So I think it could be interesting, could make it, you know, a bit more exciting during the racing. So, yeah, I guess it's always worth a try, realistically.
Yeah, I think if you can always make the racing more interesting is probably a good idea. I don't know technically how difficult it is to bring that in. I know that they tested it at the preseason test in Barcelona and hasn't been implemented just yet, but maybe we will see that coming up. I think, you know, one thing with W Series is obviously the cars are identical and generally the setups are very, very similar. So in terms of raceability, the cars are very, very similar. So it's not like other championships like F1, for example, where you've got major differences in the cars and therefore, you know, one car may be better in the cornering, one car may be better in the straights, and you'll see more overtaking for that reason as well. So I think it could make things interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly what you said there. All the cars are identical, so it makes it just that little bit trickier to actually get a move on somebody. So it does really come back down to the driver.
Okay, well, we're 7 minutes into this session. Some of these drivers coming here for the first time, one of them, Emily de Heust. Do you know much about Emily, Caitlin?
No, I don't. I only met her for the first time here this weekend. She's really nice. And I think she's been doing really well this season as well. Somebody that sort of just jumped in, seems to be building her confidence race by race and just getting that experience.
Lots of young talent coming into the W Series this year. Should we get into another question, Caitlin?
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is from Chloe Campbell Crawford, who sent us this question on Instagram. How long do you think it will be until we see a full-time female F1 driver? Thoughts on that, Caitlin?
God, I'd love to say next year. I really would. But I think, I don't think it's far away, if I'm completely honest. I think we're all doing the right steps in motorsport to really help and provide opportunities to women drivers and try and push them that little bit further to gain the experience necessary to take that step into F2 and then Formula One. You know, it is all just a stepping stone, and it's about trying to get the experience and the laps and everything needed, the super license points as well. So, you know, the fact that W Series provides that is obviously a really great step forwards for women drivers. Yeah, I don't know how long it would be, but I'd like to say in the next 5 years we've definitely got some really exciting talent coming through the ranks that hopefully should be knocking on the doors.
So on that note, I'd like to let everyone know, if you didn't already know, today is Women in Motorsport Day. Motorsport UK, Silverstone and W Series have decided to partner today for the first ever Women in Motorsport Day. In fact, there's actually 100 marshals, female marshals and stewards on track this weekend, which is an incredible statistic.
That's amazing.
But yeah, I mean, there's something we've obviously got to talk about is the whole ecosystem in the paddock and not so much just the drivers. I mean, the drivers are one part of what we want to see more women involved in motorsport. But, you know, if you guys are here this weekend, come over to the W Series paddock. You'll see that there's loads of ladies working for W Series, all in gorgeous purple tops. You won't miss them if you do come here and have a look. But yes, it's obviously very important to have more representation of women in the sport, and I think W Series is doing a fantastic job at doing that. I mean, we have more single-seater female license holders now than at any point in history before, and I think we can definitely thank W Series for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's obviously a platform that encourages but also inspires the next generation to be like, you know what, this is possible. This is a stepping stone that you can sort of aim towards. And it obviously shows. Just, you know, Juju Noda's gone P1 so far in practice, and you know, that is the next generation of drivers we are looking at that are coming up through the ranks in motorsport at the moment.
So driver just coming out on slicks there is Fabian Volven. Let's talk about Fabian for a second. We love to talk about that pink Cordal car. Last year, Fabian had a great run out here, led majority of the race until she made a small little mistake on, I don't know, 2-3 laps before the end, and Alice Powell just got her in the end. But she's been doing the rain dance all week, hoping for a wet race, because Fabian just loves the rain, doesn't she?
Yeah, she has had some really good races in the wet. Always seems to be really comfortable. I think she's able to get the tyres up to temperature a lot quicker than some other drivers. So she seems to be in her element in the wet, damp conditions. So it would be really interesting if we had a wet race. We haven't had one so far this year. Obviously, we had the Spa wet race last year in 2021. So yeah, it would be nice to sort of have a bit of rain thrown in there and see what happens.
So Caitlin, let me ask you another question now. This one is from, wow, Nicholas Lauch, I hope I didn't botch your name, from Instagram, who said, who was your inspiration to be a W Series driver? I guess that question is more as to be a driver. And how do you hope to inspire others?
Oh, that's a really good question. I guess when we started W Series, like we were in the inaugural championship, weren't we? So I didn't necessarily have a W Series driver that I specifically looked up to. Obviously, there's been...
Are you sure you didn't look up to me, Kate?
Yeah. Look, we lived together.
We did. Let's not talk about that. Anyway, so tell us, what inspired you to get into motorsport?
You know, it was just a family hobby, and my brother used to race, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps. But I guess in regards to a female inspiration, it's always been, I'm Australian, it's been a lady called Leanne Tander back out in Oz. She was a Super V8 supercar driver back in the day, and somebody that was just a bit imperative towards my career, that sort of gave me that guidance and help and inspiration when I needed it in my career. So that sort of helped push me along. So it's really, really nice to see more women becoming involved now. And you know, as he asked, it's really cool to think that we are inspiring the next generation. I think sometimes we can forget about that. So it's a real privilege.
Absolutely, and I think one of the great things that W Series does is creating, you know, those female role models for other little girls, you know, that maybe we didn't so much have in the beginning of our careers. Now, Caitlin, I have a question for you. This one comes from me. When we lived together, we lived in Germany, and we know that the Germans breed some really good racing drivers, like Michael Schumacher and all that. But now you've moved to the UK. I also did for a little bit. We've got 6 British drivers on the grid in W Series, which is huge. What do you think? Do you think the Brits breed better racing drivers than the Germans? Who are you putting your money on? We don't have any Germans on the grid, luckily, so we're not going to offend anyone. But what are your thoughts? Why is it actually? I honestly think the Brits breed very good racing drivers. Why do you think that is?
I guess it's such a big motorsport culture in the UK, isn't it? You know, it's where it all stems from. If you want to sort of, there's that stigma there. If you want to go to Formula One, you sort of want to move to the UK or you want to move to Europe. So I guess it's smack bang in the middle of where everything's going on. So yeah, it'll be really interesting this weekend. Obviously, like you said, 6 Brits in the lineup. They've all got experience around Silverstone. They all want to win their home GP. So I think it will be a tough battle out there. But as we can see, Emma is back on P1. So I think there's going to be some interesting names at the front this weekend as well, giving the Brits a run for their money.
So in our last race in Barcelona, we have 3 Spanish drivers on the grid as well, but the Brits definitely upset them by being 1, 2, and 3 on the podium there. So I think the Spaniards are also out to get revenge here.
That would be really interesting if they flipped that. The Brits top 3 in Barcelona and the Spanish girls top 3 in the UK. That would be quite interesting.
So at the moment, the championship standings, Jamie Chadwick, as we mentioned earlier on, has had a very good run of it so far this season. But we have 3 Brits in the top 3 at the moment. Jamie Chadwick has quite a comfortable lead at the moment, but Abby Pulling's, you know, clawing her way towards her, and Alice Powell also doesn't want to come second to Abby because, you know, she's her mentor. I think she said it this week, she just needs Abby to slow down a little bit. Interesting relationship the two of them have, but great to see them competing nicely together. Who do you think is going to be a contender for Jamie Chadwick this season?
Well, before the season started, I guess, if I'm honest, I think I had my money on Emma. Just because of her storm towards the back end of 2021. I really thought, you know, and she has had really great momentum and just a little bit of bad luck, if I'm completely honest, so far this season. So I think she's really out there to bounce back as best she can. So I think Emma's definitely a contender for the championship this year. Maybe it might not seem like that in the point standing right now, but yeah, obviously Abby Pulling as well, obviously, you know, young up-and-coming driver. She's hungry to make her mark and push Jamie all the way as well. So it'll be an interesting second half of the season.
So there goes Abby Pulling, putting it on the top of the charts for the moment. Emma Kimiläinen was comfortably out in the lead just a second ago. She was about 2 seconds clear of anyone, but I think everyone's tyres are just starting to come into the right window. Caitlin, we have a question here that, you know, I want you to talk about a little bit more. One of the things that W Series prides itself on is having identical cars so that the driver's talent can really stand out. So we have a question I'll put it to you as though it's been sent to us. At Local Snacks, love it, love the handle, on Twitter asks, could you talk about how much freedom there is in terms of setup? Do the teams make choices? Is it different from driver to driver, or are they all identical in that respect as well?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Obviously, all the cars are identical. And when you come to a race meeting, you find out who your engineer will be for that weekend, and then you guys work together to make a plan, essentially, for that GP. So you get given parameters, so the car will be set up on the baseline setup, and if you choose to change something from that, you have freedom, but only within a certain set amount of parameters. So the basic things you can change are your front wing, your rear wing, you can change some of your rear springs. So you can definitely set the car up to suit your driving style, but yeah, it's definitely within a window of changes so that the car's obviously keeping as close as they can throughout the season.
Okay, so looking at things as they stand right now, Caitlin, I know it's early doors, but we don't have a lot of track time on a W Series weekend. We've got 30 minutes of practice, 30 minutes of qualifying coming up this evening, and then tomorrow's 30-minute race. I don't know if it's too early to ask, but the people in the comment section want to know who could be a surprise winner this season, or maybe even a pole sitter.
Oh, surprise winner, so someone we're not really expecting, I guess. I don't know. Obviously, there's four Brits at the front right now in free practice. So I think if any British driver sort of pops it on pole,
won't be a surprise.
Won't be a surprise. I guess it would be really nice to see Marta come back and pop it on pole. Someone like Marta or Bijtske-Visser, I think they definitely have the potential to do results like this. I just think it hasn't really come together for them just yet. You know, Marta's had some really strong races so far this season, so yeah, that would be a nice surprise to see one of those girls make it to the top of the charts realistically.
So let's talk teams. Let's shine a little bit of light on our 2022 teams. There you have Alice Powell, who is a driver for the Click to Drive Bristol Street Motors team. She's got a lot of history with them as well. I think they were a sponsor of hers early on in her career, which is a really nice story, actually. But anyway, what I wanted to ask you, Caitlin, is we've got Court Dow in that gorgeous pink car. We've got Jenna Racing. We've got Quan Fury, and as I just said, Bristol Street Motors, Puma, Racing X, Siren Racing, Scuderia W, and okay, I'll leave the W Series Academy out of this one now, because my question to you is, which team would you want to race for?
I think I'm biased to last season, so I have to go to Puma.
I
love
good,
the livery.
Yeah.
You know, I love the livery. I love being involved with the team last year. We did some really cool activations together, and it was a really nice team environment. I felt really supported, and yeah, obviously I'm not saying the other teams don't provide that as well. I'm just saying from my experience, I really enjoyed being involved with Puma. So I think if given that option again, I would definitely jump to be involved with the Puma team.
Well, I think any of them are great teams. There's no real performance advantage, as we talked about a lot during the session, but you're right. Puma has been a great addition to the W Series lineup, and that car just stands out, doesn't it? Now, another question we've been asked is, what is the top speed of the W Series car?
The top speed of the W Series car obviously depends like which circuit you're at. Silverstone has quite a long straight, but so right at the end, I think they reach up to about 160 mile per hour. So yeah, you're definitely building that momentum. But what is impressive about these Formula cars is the speed you can carry through the corners, because you obviously have the downforce and the aerodynamics. That is where you make up a lot of your time throughout the whole of the lap.
Okay, well, we've got 8 minutes left. Jamie Chadwick is starting to put in some green sectors. She's up in third now. Jamie, doesn't always have outright pace, but something that she does have is a very cool, calm, collected head on her shoulders, and knows what it takes to win a championship. And it's not always about being the quickest or taking every move. It's about being responsible and scoring points, isn't it?
Just being consistent. Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, Jamie does a really good job in, like you said, keeping a cool head and just staying in her own lane, doing her own thing and working on herself. So we just see Jess go to the top of the chart there. It's all really, really close, half a second between them all in the top 5 at the moment. So yeah, it will be really, really good to see Jamie start to have some challenges from the other drivers this weekend as well, if that ends up being the case.
So, something going on over there with Fabian Bolvin's little nose cap. Not a major issue. Sometimes those screws over there, they're quite an easy, you've got a system which makes them easy to change during a pit stop, and it can just pop out kind of thing. Anyway, I think she'll head into the pits to make sure that she doesn't lose that. Let's talk about Jess Hawkins for a second, because she had her first W Series podium in Miami this year. Something that I think it's been a long time coming for her.
Yeah.
We've always seen, pockets of talent from her, great moments, but she's not always been able to put it together. What is it about these drivers like Jess Hawkins who've been with W Series for the 3rd season now, but just not able to really, solidify her results in the championship?
I think it's just about confidence and having that team around you, feeling supported, and also the experience with single-seaters as well. I think at the beginning of the W Series Championship, we had such talent from a whole variety of different levels of racing, whether that be GTs or single-seaters. But yeah, not everybody had that single-seater background. So I think for some people it might have taken a little bit longer to sort of get their head around the mentality of driving a single-seater, but I think the girls that have been here for a couple of years now are really starting to shine. And like you said with Jess, I think she's starting to really find her feet and do a good job, and she's obviously comfortable, she's obviously quite happy with her team, and I think that when you sort of have that result, it brings more results. Like you said, it's just overcoming that barrier in getting that podium, and then she now believes that she can do it. She'll probably go and do it again.
Right, we've got some more questions. F3 and F3 Regional, as well as W Series. What are the differences?
Okay, so FIA F3.
Yes.
All right, so FIA F3 are obviously a completely different car. They, I think they run 100 more brake horsepower. Yeah, so on average, they're quite a few seconds a lap quicker than the W Series cars. That would realistically be the next step up from the W Series for the drivers, would be in the single-seater ladder, would go from W Series and try and get a seat into FIA F3. And then the Formula Regional cars, they're more or less the same as the W Series cars, but just raced in a different championship. So, yeah, we run on a T318 Tartus chassis, which is the same as what they run in Formula Regional.
So believe it or not, I don't know how quickly this came around, but this is the halfway point in the W Series season for 2022. Our next race is in Paul Ricard, track we know, don't we, Caitlin?
Yeah.
There's a background story to that we won't share with you guys today, but we've been there a couple of times. And then we head off to Budapest, which is a very exciting race on the calendar. Love being in the city. And then we head off to Austin. Sorry, I skipped a race. Then we go to Japan.
Yeah, we missed Japan there.
We missed Japan. We go to Japan, and then after that we go to Austin and Mexico. So it's super exciting. We've got a double header in Mexico. Which race of the season are you looking forward to the most, Caitlin?
I think I definitely have to say Japan, because obviously it's the first time W Series is there, and you know, I think Suzuka is such an amazing circuit, and it will be really cool to see the girls obviously go over there and just, has anyone actually had any experience around that circuit?
Possibly Juju.
Well, oh yeah, that was silly of me. But
I don't think anyone else has.
Yeah, majority of the drivers, it will be a new circuit, so it will be, as you said, there's not a lot of track time over the course of a weekend. It will be all about trying to get the most out of themselves in such a short space of time. So it'll be interesting.
Okay, well, I'm going to say Mexico. I was so looking forward to going there last year. And then we didn't end up going because of logistical reasons and COVID reasons. It just wasn't able to be put together anymore. But we are going this year. I hope we will make sure we get there. And that'll be the race that I'm looking forward to the most. I think it just has such a cool vibe to it. The arena sort of stadium vibe is just really cool from what I've seen on the screen. And I just can't wait to experience that as well.
Yeah, it looks like a really good vibe.
Three minutes on the clock. Caitlin, you didn't answer my question. I need an answer from you. Who do you think is going to be on pole position?
Oh dear. I'm going to go with Emma.
Okay.
Hey, she's just gone P1. That was a good shout.
Were you looking at the purple sectors on this timing screen? Gotcha. That's cheating, Caitlin. That is cheating. Anyway, we'll go for that. Caitlin's putting her money on Emma. It's going to upset a lot of Brits, but
yeah.
That'd be the surprise pole then, I guess, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be. And Marta, who I spoke about previously, she's currently sitting in P2, but there is quite a big gap between Emma and Marta there, 0.8 of a second, and then Jamie 0.9. So I think in the next couple of minutes we should definitely see that gap drop between drivers.
Okay, one more question. The question is, Caitlin, are W Series drivers allowed to compete in other series?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's, I guess, not the whole point of W Series is to gain experience and seat time in a single seater, but you have seen in the past drivers like Visser have then gone on and competed in LMP2, in the World Endurance Championship, in Le Mans. Jamie has been doing other things as well.
Little moment from Jamie there over the curbs.
Yeah.
Bottoming out a little bit there. So yeah, yes, W Series drivers are allowed to compete in other championships. Of course, something very special about W Series and something that allows these drivers to be in the positions that they're in is the fact that W Series is a fully funded racing championship, which is practically unheard of and an incredible opportunity. So the drivers do need to prioritize their seats in W Series because, as you can imagine, there is a long list of people waiting for those seats. So if you can't fully commit to the championship, you can't have a seat. So you prioritize W Series, but you are allowed to race in other championships as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we're hearing that Jess Hawkins is out of the car for the rest of the session. Not that there's much left of it, so I don't think that that's going to hurt her too much. Track time is obviously everything for these drivers, especially because we don't have that much of it, so every second does count. Beitske Visser currently on a better lap for herself. She's currently 10th. Beitske has not been having the best run of it. I mean, season one, she was, you know, one of our top contenders. I think a lot of people put their money on her as well. She ended up finishing second in the championship.
Yeah.
But she's been struggling. I think, one of the things as well, talking about driving in other championships, is that it doesn't necessarily benefit you to do more than one program. It's driving styles in different cars can actually be a bit of a setback. You change your habits, and it's kind of hard to jump from one car to another, isn't it, Caitlin?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a high level of racing as well. Last season, jumping between the W Series and LMP2, it's such an amazing program and such great experience. But yeah, as you were saying, I can imagine it would have been really, really tough to jump between the two and do both well.
So time has run out on the clock. You can see the checkered flag over there. Jamie Chadwick is currently on a good lap. First purple sector, green sector 2. Let's see what it'll be in sector 3. Here she is. Lovely lid she's got this weekend. A lot of the drivers have got Silverstone specific helmets, so keep an eye out for that. Jamie's helmet, she's rocking a little bit more of the white this weekend. I think it looks good.
Yeah, I really like it. I think
a little sideways there. Let's see if that's going to hurt her or not. Jamie Chadwick, ladies and gentlemen, tops the charts. For the moment, I don't think I see any purple sectors on the timing screen at the moment, so it looks like Jamie's just pipped that quickest lap from Abby pulling. So, not too many surprises out there this morning just yet. We've got pretty much all of the English drivers in the top 10. Alice Powell goes third. Here's the moment we saw from Jamie. It's really sideways. I think that would have hurt her. That's probably why it was only enough for 300ths of a second.
Yeah.
Looked like she was on a really good lap.
It was a good save, to be honest.
Talented drivers we have here at W Series, don't we?
Absolutely. And pulling stays P2.
So how much of a help is a toe on a track like Silverstone, Caitlin?
Yeah, obviously a toe does make a difference because you are not breaking the air yourself. You're not having to push through that. So being able to tuck in behind somebody and then they essentially do that for you, you're able to gain a couple of tenths a second. So if you can get a really good toe, obviously a couple of tenths a second, as you can see from the leaderboard, makes all the difference.
Well, we saw a lot of game playing and tactics, team tactics. Are those still wet tires I'm seeing? Or, I don't know.
Must have been from the beginning of the session.
That must have been an earlier shot, yes. So we now are hearing that Jess Hawkins' front suspension seems to have broken, and that's why she was out of the car. Good thing that only happened towards the end of the session and that didn't cost her too much. What was I saying? I just lost my train of thought there. Anyway, couldn't have been that important. Gosh, that's going to annoy me now, isn't it? Do you ever get that?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yes, I remember what I was saying now. I was talking about game playing and tactics, team tactics that we saw in Baku, with a lot of drivers helping each other out.
Yeah.
In W Series, we do have the teams, team structure, but as we mentioned, that doesn't actually change anything for the cars. The drivers all share a locker room, so there's no real, there isn't any real team tactics in W Series. Hopefully we might see some of that this weekend, but who do you think is likely to give someone a toe? I think, looking at the relationship that there is between Abby and Alice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then obviously Jess Hawkins and Abby Eaton.
Yeah, you probably nailed it there.
Got to make some friends on the grid, don't you?
That's it.
So here you have the drivers doing their practice starts. Really worth doing, isn't it, Caitlin?
Absolutely. Obviously, you don't get many opportunities to have a practice and a practice start. Realistically, you're not able to do it throughout the session. So just being able to do that now makes the world of difference for when you actually start the race. And you've got to think throughout the season you only do a couple of starts. So it's really imperative. And
actually, I mean, if you think about it, starts are actually a really good place to gain positions.
Yeah.
It isn't easy to overtake in single seater racing, we know that, but it's quite easy to make a significant difference in the start.
Absolutely, and it's quite easy to, as you say, lose positions as well on the start. So if you can have a nice, clean launch and get away and get good grip, then it makes a world of difference.
Do you ever get a jittery foot on the clutch in a start, Caitlin?
Has happened once or twice.
That does happen. It's either the positioning of your foot or even the nerves. So here you have your top 3 for this morning's free practice session. It's the Brits are back again. Jamie Chadwick, your quickest driver in this session, followed by Abby Pulling, and then Alice Powell. Very reminiscent of Barcelona there. Emma Kimi-Leinen follows closely behind. Caitlin's put her money on Emma for today's qualifying session, so keep an eye out for that. Marta Garcia having a good session, being 5th, followed by Jess Hawkins, Sarah Moore, Abby Eaton, Nerea Marti, and Beitz Gewisser rounds up your top 10. Moving on to the rest of the grid, Belen Garcia in 11th, Fabian Molven not having the session she would have wanted to. I spoke to her earlier today. She said the pressure's on. She did well last year, so expectations are high. She won't be happy with that, so we're going to have a bit of a pep talk with Fabian after this. Chloe Chambers in 13th, Teresa Babicova 14th, Emily DeHoos in 15th, Bianca Juju Noda, Bruno Tomaselli is the last driver at the moment. So thank you to everyone for joining us this session. Make sure to tune in later today for our qualifying session. Join us at 6:20 BST. So if you guys don't know where to watch, head over to the W Series website and click on that gorgeous little button that says where to watch, and you'll find out very quickly. We'll see you then. Thank you for joining us, Caitlin.
Thank you for having me.